April 1st, 1997. Seattle, the United States of America. Boeing's newest jetliner, the B777, is being prepared for the ultimate test of any long-distance aircraft. An attempt at not one, but two world records.
We wanted to get the distance record, and we knew the airplane had the performance, so we found the right day to do it to match the Malaysian 50th anniversary.
And it was only the third flight for this airplane. I think when we left Seattle, the airplane had only 5 hours of flight.
But when the day came, we just filled it up with gas and took off and wound up in Kuala Lumpur 21 hours later.
The only time that there was a little bit of a suspense as to whether this was go or no go was when we got over eastern United States. And that's a critical point where you get assigned an altitude over the Atlantic. So we were cleared to 37,000 feet, which made it much easier. If they had kept us down to a lower altitude, we would have burned a lot more fuel.
The B777 Super Ranger lands in Kuala Lumpur after its 20,000-kilometer trip.
The other part of the record is the total time that you spend going around the world, and which means that you have to minimize the time on the ground as well, like a pit stop.
As the Malaysian ground crew work on their new aircraft, the media interview the pilots.
21.5 hours non-stop.
Malaysia Airlines Executive Chairman Tan Sri Tajuddin Ramli greets the dignitaries. This is a proud moment for Tan Sri Tajuddin Ramli as the record flight coincides with Malaysia Airlines' 50th anniversary. And the B777 is set to become the cornerstone of Malaysia Airlines' extended service program well into the next century.
The airplane was fully equipped. It was a regular airplane with full complement of seats, and every telephone on the airplane worked. 278 telephones. You could pick any one of them and they all worked. The ground crews did a fantastic job getting that airplane refueled in record time, and we were out of there in less than 2 hours.
Kuala Lumpur, I was guessing would be 3 hours or longer, and that really helped us. It was a good effort on everybody's part there.
And so the Super Ranger takes off on its trip back to Seattle, chasing its second world record.
On the way back to Seattle, we flew down south towards Indonesia, and we came up again to the islands of Guam and direct to Seattle. To be able to fly an aeroplane in 42 hours, circumnavigating the whole world in the tropic of Cancer, to me it was very interesting and something for me to remember the rest of my life.
42 hours after departing, the B777 receives a hero's welcome back in Seattle.
was a great experience. Less than 42 hours. And we beat the previous record by more than 6 hours.
Now, I want to tell you one other thing that most of you probably don't know. A week ago, at this very moment, this airplane had never yet flown.
The world record B777 was almost straight off the assembly line with no extra long-range provisions. So what was the rationale behind producing a two-engine passenger aircraft that can fly around the world with only one stop?
So we basically did start with a clean sheet of paper. We looked at our processes, our tools, our people, and how we built airplanes in the past and how we wanted to build them in the future.
The Boeing company has been building aircraft since its founding in 1916. They have always been at the forefront of aviation, from building early seaplanes and mail delivery aircraft through World War I fighters. The first metal plane with a retractable undercarriage. The world's first passenger aircraft, the Model 247. And the groundbreaking 707 passenger jet. Boeing has become the world's largest producer of commercial jetliners. One takes off somewhere in the world every 3.5 seconds.
You know, we noticed, and the airlines told us, that there is a gap between a 767-300, which is 210 seats in 3 class, and a 747-400, which is 420, 430 seats.
To cover that gap between the 67 and the 47, we found it the right thing to do was to put an airplane in that same category. We were starting from scratch with a brand new airplane. That's a huge difference from maybe a derivative development program. In the case of the 777, we had a chance to start with a clean sheet of paper.
The B777 was conceived to meet the changing needs of the aviation market. No other aviation company has such a globally acknowledged reputation, but Boeing also knew they had to come up with a radical new way of designing and building aircraft to keep them at the forefront of the industry.
We had a theme for the program called the Working Together theme, and what that meant was our suppliers, ourselves, and our airline customers were going to work closer than ever before. And so we intentionally brought customers together and communicated with them on what our intentions were for this program.
We had pilots from the other airlines involved. We identified a group of core airlines that we were going to sell the airplane to, that when we invited them to sit on our PDTs, our development teams, and they helped us design the airplane too.
They heard each other's thoughts, and we heard all of them collectively, so it was really a faster process, and in the end I think we got a much superior product.
After intensive consultations with the world's airlines, the Boeing 777 was conceived to provide the most payload and range capability in the medium-sized aircraft category.
Come on up and take a look at our new airplane and see how well working together works.
This airplane is not designed on paper. There are no drawings on a piece of paper. All the drawings are in a computer.
But this was the first attempt to be exclusive with it, you know, do everything by digital definition. So it was a groundbreaker of a program that way. We utilized a system that allowed us to create the entire airplane in 3-dimensional form on a computer database. And we also devised a computing system that would allow us to put those parts together and search them 3-dimensionally for any interferences that might exist, what the relationship of one part was to another, put the whole airplane together that way.
This is also the first time that we've used what we call design-build teams. And what it is that we have the people that design the airplane sitting with the people that are in charge of building the airplane. and of course sitting also with the people that are going to fly and use the airplane.
And we actually had 3 pilots assigned full-time and a flight engineer, as a matter of fact, assigned full-time in the design process early on, years before we flew.
And when you have thousands of engineers working on an airplane, one of the problems is communication, is how does the structural engineer know what the electrical engineer has stuffed into the airplane. And you can't know that unless you go and look and open drawings and unroll drawings. This way, since the drawings are in the computer, the electrical engineer can call the particular portion of the airplane onto his screen, and he can see where the wire would go. Call the particular portion of the airplane onto his screen, and he can see where the wire would go.
Now what that allowed us to do was eliminate what we used to have were hardware full-scale mock-ups, where we'd actually produce in aluminum, in plywood, in plastic, any method possible. It took an immense effort. We had 8 mainframes interconnected to handle all the data flow, and that was the largest computer database system in the world at the time it was doing that job. So, and then we had to train everybody. You know, we had 7,000 engineers that hadn't used that system before, so they eventually, during that program, had to be trained to utilize this whole new method of design. So it was a terrific undertaking. As you go through the factory and you see the airplane come together, everything fits. The parts go together, more so than ever before. And it was amazing when we put the first airplane together what we had achieved. We didn't really realize if it was going to work or not until you actually do it.
Boeing engineers took advantage of new space-age materials and design technology during the construction of the B777. A new improved 7055 aluminium alloy offers greater strength and improved corrosion and fatigue resistance than existing alloys. The fuselage, circular in cross-section, is large enough to accommodate a spacious passenger cabin, plus a large capacity hold. Advanced composite materials, carbon fibers and resins are used in secondary structures to reduce weight. The B777 has the most aerodynamically efficient airfoil ever developed for subsonic commercial aviation, allowing quicker climbing and higher cruising. The main landing gear, the largest for a commercial airline, features a standard 2-post arrangement, but with 6 wheel trucks instead of 4. This allows better weight distribution and more economical braking. All 3 major engine manufacturers have developed new improved turbofans for the B777, resulting in excellent fuel efficiency and a craft that is as quiet as a smaller airplane. The flight deck incorporates advanced liquid crystal display screens, which generate less heat and therefore don't need complex air conditioning. Control and maneuvering commands are transmitted through a fly-by-wire system, a first for a Boeing commercial aircraft. The control computers and systems communicate via Boeing's patented 2-way digital data bus, the ARINC 629. Fly-by-wire also saves weight and simplifies construction.
For at least 2 to 3 years, we were flying the airplane in what we call the Systems Integration Lab, where we had 2 simulators where we had the actual systems of the airplane flying as we flew. So we were actually exercising systems or pieces that would go on the airplane eventually. The real reward was after flying the simulator for several years and getting in the airplane and finding out that's what we've been flying for the last 2 or 3 years.
None of us but the pilots flew on the very first flight. 2 people. It's an immense relief when you see that airplane take off for the first time. So there's a real release of exuberance when that happens.
As a 2-engine passenger aircraft, a thorough test program was necessary for the B777 to obtain ETOPS, Extended Range Twin-Engine Operations, approval. All B777s were designed to be ETOPS capable, but to ensure the highest possible levels of reliability, it was put through rigorous testing, more than twice the number of test hours ever flown by a commercial jetliner. And on May the 30th, 1995, it became the first airplane in aviation history to earn FAA approval to fly ETOPS upon service entry.
Yeah, I think the airplane has definitely established a new standard in comfort, in flexibility. I think you know that Boeing got an architectural award for the design of the interior of the airplane, which is very pleasing to the eye, very high ceiling, very smooth lines.
I think one of the real advantages in the 777 is the perception of space inside. Because one of the difficult things we have as designers is to try to accommodate all the carry-on baggage and yet not close in the cabin. So the 777 really sets a new standard.
The experience with Malaysia Airlines was they had a very good idea what they wanted when we started talking with them about the 777.
So we did a lot of research into the art, the architecture, the types of colors that you see in nature, and then we applied that type of information to several different schemes that we went through with the airline until we settled upon the interior that they have now in their new 777.
Airplanes are very expensive and they last for 25 or 30 years. The chances are that over its lifetime the airplane interior will need to be reconfigured several times. So we wanted to provide a method that would allow the airlines to do that very quickly and inexpensively.
We created zones of flexibility and provided a structural support system that allows the airline in an overnight layup, they can go in and reconfigure their seat zones. A larger business class, less economy class, move the galley and lavs inside.
It's like a sophisticated Lego set. Parts can be unplugged and moved around very easily and efficiently.
Boeing's Working Together team were awarded the prestigious Collier Trophy for Outstanding Achievement in Aviation for 1995.
To the Boeing Company and the 777 team for designing, manufacturing, and introducing into service the world's most advanced commercial airplane transport, the Boeing 777. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for a great company, a great team, and a great airplane.
Literally every major airline in the world has purchased this airplane. And if you look at the who's who of who is tops in the world, they all got it.
We intend to keep it very strong in the marketplace. It's a standard bearer for technology in the industry, and efficiency, and comfort for the customer, and flexibility for the customer and the flying public.
It's a faster airplane than its competitors. Speed doesn't come into play really until you go long distance. It becomes more important. Airlines love range. I mean, you give them range, then they want more. And range really means flexibility. It allows an airline to utilize an airplane through so many different missions.
As we look back on what we accomplished and what we see the future to need, we really feel that the 777 will be a lifeblood to the Boeing Commercial Group.
If you took a really good flying airplane out there, which we consider all of our Boeing airplanes to be really good flying airplanes, and made it better, that's what you have with the 777.
We're very pleased with this airplane. I think it's going to be a world beater in the next century.
Seattle, 5 a.m., April 26, 1997. Super Ranger, the Malaysian Airlines B777, is prepared for its delivery flight to Kuala Lumpur.
Beautiful airplane. Non-stop from here to Kuala Lumpur, about 17 hours. A long ride. Great trip. No doubt about it.
Preparations are completed for the flight as the Malaysian crew proudly survey their new aircraft.
Morning, Paul.
Hey, what's up? How are you?
Dave, thanks for the cab.
As a Malaysian airline crew, as well as a Malaysian, I would like to congratulate Malaysia for having this beautiful state-of-the-art aircraft, Boeing 777, and we are proud to bring it back home today.
Malaysia has the aim of becoming a developed nation by the year 2020. The opening of the new Kuala Lumpur International Airport in time for the 1998 Commonwealth Games and the delivery of this, Malaysian Airlines' first B777, capable of flying non-stop between Asia and America, are two giant steps towards Malaysia's Vision 2020.
Dua kali untuk mendapatkan saluran interaktif. Headset ini juga ialah telefon anda. Anda boleh.
We're carrying close to 100 passengers on a twin-engine aeroplane flying more than 16 hours. It is a record by itself. But, well, we did not make any application for that, yeah?
For the last 15 months, we had a team, and I was heading a team that worked very closely with Boeing. Firstly, to ensure that this aircraft is delivered to us on schedule, and you can see we have done that. And secondly, we wanted to bring some new innovation into our in-flight service. As you can see on board the aircraft, we have a flight business center, we have larger monitors, and interactive entertainment systems. In order for us to do that, of course, we have to work very closely with Boeing. They gave us all their support, and I'm glad that at this point in time, we have managed to come up with an aircraft which we believe is the most luxurious 777 in the world.
I am proud that Malaysia Airlines has taken this step to prove itself as one of the global competitors in this business. And I reckon this aeroplane rather would take us there. The world record flight itself has proved to the world that Malaysia is capable of this task as well. And I myself, being a Malaysian, very proud of the current situation Malaysia Airlines is taking us on.
Sunday, 27th of April 1997. Super Ranger touches down in Kuala Lumpur to the proud reception of Malaysian Airlines staff and ground crew. The B777, conceived, designed and tested by computer, has successfully completed its longest passenger flight ever.
Thank you for sharing all this. Thank you for the good service. Thank you.
This is a great day for Malaysia Airlines because this 777, as you know, is the most luxurious, and this is where we define our new product.
Yeah, this is a very, it's a defining day for us. I'm completely on top of the world.
Award winner, world record holder. This is only the beginning of the B77 story. The plane that will take aviation, both for Malaysia and the world, into the 21st century.
Very small key for a big aircraft.